If there's one word associated with libraries and librarians by the general public, it is probably silence. Libraries are traditionally thought of as silent, reflective places. Librarians are supposed to monitor noise levels and shh appropriately. This extract that I just read out was taken from an article I co-wrote during my time as an academic librarian, when I was discussing the silence of institutions when confronted with injustice in workplaces, amongst colleagues and throughout the wider world. In that context, silence reproduced coloniality. However, in this video, I want to explore silence through a different lens, through introspection, distraction, and our collective discomfort with stillness. I want to share with you how your personal relationship with silence can also be transformative. According to Google, noise is defined as any unwanted, disruptive, or harmful sound. So why then do we reject silence? Think about it. We are so hungry for noise. The noise of stimulation, the noise of devices, the noise of music, the noise of conversation. This is in contrast to eerie silence or missing audio, which automatically feels like something is wrong or broken. Silence can feel like non-presence, separation, and aloneness. It can feel like affection is being withheld. Silence can feel permanent. It can feel like a prison where you cannot distract yourself from uncomfortable emotions. Speaking about emotions, as someone with an anxious attachment style, constant communication equals certainty, whereas silence can feel like evidence that something is wrong. Of course, there's a big difference between being ghosted and natural lulls in the rhythm of conversation. Yet as someone who grew up around people who shut down emotionally when they were overwhelmed, people who stopped talking when conversations became too difficult, it's hard for me not to feel threatened by silence. However, this is what I'm trying to change. To decolonize silence is to stop interpreting it solely through the lens of abandonment, punishment, productivity, or lack. Silence can also mean rest, peace, contemplation, and space for growth. It reflects the duality of relationships and the duality of life itself. In spirituality and esoteric wisdom, silence is essential. The need to retreat from others, to turn inwards and return to silence, to a place where power and source reside, is part of many Indigenous rituals and initiations. The temporary lack of understanding before a lesson is fully integrated through ascension can itself be interpreted as a form of silence. Colonial systems depend on noise. The stillness of nature was interrupted by the noise of industrialization and constant output, constant consumption, constant explanation, constant accessibility. Under capitalism especially, silence becomes suspicious because silence cannot always be monetized. Silence interrupts production. Silence interrupts the algorithm. Reflection interrupts obedience. Rest interrupts extraction. We have been conditioned to associate worth with visibility and sound, to post more, reply faster, speak louder, stay available 24/7. However, silence asks us to exist without the world knowing we are existing. Maybe that's another reason why silence feels so uncomfortable. No algorithm, no immediate validation. Silence reveals what the noise of distractions were covering. It forces confrontation with grief, longing, boredom, fear, memory, desire, intuition. Silence is where truth becomes audible, and that is where some of the most profound shifts in our lives happen quietly. The moment we outgrow a version of ourselves by sitting with discomforts and our demons. The moment we finally feel at home within ourselves again because we've met ourselves again. Silence is therefore not empty at all. Silence is full of everything colonialism has taught us to avoid. Decolonizing our relationship to silence means learning not to fear our own inner world. It means understanding that silence is not always absence. Sometimes it is protection, incubation, listening, discernment, or a sacred pause. Finally, remember that as a fetus, silence was where we met ourselves before the world told us who we are. Perhaps then it's time then to return back to a similar state and look at our relationship with silence. What does silence mean for you? Let me know in the comments. And if this resonated with you, I'd love to invite you to a workshop I'm hosting. My workshop intends to encourage listening, the listening to frequency, the listening to our ancestors. It involves decolonizing our silence, decolonizing our imagination. I will link more of what we will be doing in the video description. Let me know if you'd like to join, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.